The 365 Pro Wrestling Podcast. 365 Nation, welcome to another edition of the 365 Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is episode number 33, and today we're not talking to a wrestler. We're not talking to a manager. We're not talking to someone you might think we were going to talk to. No, we're talking to a man who captures us. A man who takes photos of us and puts them online faster than anybody else in the world. We're talking about Steve Skullmaster at Skullmaster Photography. Steve, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. I think people are going to really enjoy your perspective and your take on things, being the photographer as opposed to being a wrestler or a manager. But let's move right into this. Let's jump in and tell the fans, how did you get into photography?
Well, growing up as a kid, my dad always had a really good camera, and he would take photos and lots of landscapes and stuff, and I kind of got interested in it that way. And when I got my own camera, I was mostly doing like nature and landscapes and stuff like that.
And some of the stuff was PWA Live Pro Wrestling from the Alpine Club. Tell me how you got into that.
Yeah, I saw a poster for a PWA show in my neighborhood, and it was the first show at the Alpine Club back when we were sitting behind tables and there was hardly anyone there. But yeah, I was at a few shows and I was like videotaping them for my own personal. And then, I don't know, somehow I ended up talking to you, I think, about it. And then I don't really recall exactly how it happened, but I came in with that other guy and we started working together and I was doing photos and just kept going. And it's been like 7 years now.
I remember when we started the Alpine Club, we had maybe 60 people the first show, maybe 70 people the second show. And then with a lot of work, I'll put Lenny Lilac and Mike Hart and Joey Allen and Jeff Black and just all those guys working really hard in the angles, Easy-E, to get the crowds bigger and bigger. We end up growing and doing some huge numbers at the Alpine Club. But like you said, 7 years you've been taking pictures of PWA Wrestling, or now 365 Pro Wrestling. So there's got to be some reason why you like it. What's your favorite part about taking the photos of the live events?
My favorite part of capturing wrestling photos has got to be just hanging out in the back and hearing all the cool stories that everyone has. And also I love when people like share my photos and like put funny little captions on them, like if they're getting kicked in the face or something and they put, "Oh, Mondays" or something, you know. I like that kind of stuff.
I think everyone loves sharing those photos, getting them and adding a little bit to them of their own stuff, and they appreciate that you don't mind it and that you have these photos for the wrestlers and for all the fans to see as well. So in these 7 years, have you ever got injured or hurt doing photography for PWA Wrestling or any wrestling in general?
Have I gotten hurt? No, not really. I was like kicked once, and like my camera's been kicked a few times, and I got blood on my camera once, and I had spit on the lens. But there's been some close calls, but I haven't gotten hurt. I try to keep back a little bit.
And that's good that you don't get hurt when you're out there. We like that. We don't want anything happening to you out there while you're taking those photos. Now, moving ahead again, this question is just because you take pictures of landscape, you like that, it's not moving. Wrestling's always moving. And there's certain guys that I feel really are good at getting in the face of the camera, and then there's other guys who maybe not so much. Do you find this as well?
Yeah, there's some wrestlers that play to me a little more than others, like people that know that I'm there. They like look for me after they win or whatever to make sure I get the shot of them holding up the championship or holding up their hand, or like pose for group photos like with the temple and stuff. Yeah, some people don't really play to me and it's hard to get a good shot, but other people look for me and know where I am and make me get a good shot or pose for me or whatever.
So You talked a little bit about not being injured yet. We've had some very close calls. You talked about how you got into photography. Tell us where the people can see your photography.
On Facebook, I have Skullmaster Photography, and usually a couple hours after the show, I get the pictures up as fast as I can. Come home, look at them, and pick which ones I want to put up and get them up as soon as possible.
Posting these pictures is something you do faster than anyone I've ever seen, and I do enjoy it. But for the fans who maybe don't know yet, how can they stay in touch with you? What's your social media contacts?
Social media is usually Skullmaster430 on Instagram and Twitter. I don't use Twitter much, but I'm on Instagram quite a bit. And also Skullmaster Photography, for sure, follow that. That's where I post the pictures right away.
And that's on Facebook, everybody. So I'm going to wrap this thing up. It's just a nice short interview with the 365 Pro Wrestling photographer, Steve Skullmaster from Skullmaster Photography. Steve, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I hope you had a good time, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Check you later.
It was real cool having Steve on. I hope everyone enjoyed that interview. It was definitely a different interview. It was a little bit shorter than some of our interviews, but it was also with a man who's not in the ring. He's taking photos of the wrestlers in the ring, and that's pretty cool to me. So I hope you enjoyed it. Last but not least, I want to remind everybody that you can get your tickets for upcoming 365 Pro Wrestling events at 365prowrestling.com. We're going to be in Campbell River on February 25th, and we are going to be in Kitchener on February 29th. Don't you dare miss it.